Hey everyone, welcome back. We're past Christmas now, but we're deep into the Christmas events for Tarkov, and we got some news for you today, or the so belovedly shortened TIT, as you guys all like to throw in the comments down below. So we'll get right into the stuff here. Patch notes from BSG directly, dealing with a lot of issues you guys have been running into, fighting Santa and stuff, and I think affecting some people cheesing stuff. So Santa won't defend scavs anymore. So, and I noticed this, it seemed like Santa would just kind of randomly attack you. Every time he did it to me, I just ran away. I guess if you would attack scavs, he would aggro. They've changed that, so it no longer does that. PMCs no longer get rep for killing a player who killed Santa. I experienced this myself. I got like 0.15, but I guess probably players have been cheesing this to try to build rep, so you can't do that anymore. On top of that, PMCs no longer lose rep for killing scavs. People are talking about losing little bits of rep for killing scavs. It looks like that has been fixed, so that's good. And then player scavs no longer gain rep for killing players who killed raiders, which in the big picture kind of makes sense with how this whole kind of messy scav karma thing works right now. So no more way to farm that either. And then something that's not in the patch notes, but I want to bring up right here real quick, is the Christmas tree has usually been around until after Russian Christmas, which is December 7th, I believe. But what that means is after that, about a couple of days to a week, kind of depends, usually second week of January, they pull the Christmas tree out. They only give a day or two of notice at most, so don't be hanging on to a bunch of Christmas balls to craft because they become essentially worthless. You can only sell them to the traders after that. And I think this would be safe to assume that the Santa Claus event is going to go on at the same duration as the tree. They'll probably pull them all out at the same time, but it could happen as early as the 8th. You know, we could have everything cut off as early as the 8th, right after Christmas, and it might go a couple of days after that. We'll just have to wait and see. On top of that, we got a technical update after the update that they just did, probably to fix some bugs. Didn't require a reset. One thing with that I want to mention though is that your traders get all these spinny wheels if you haven't upgraded your items. So they'll do this in raid and it can take longer. So what I always do whenever they do updates is I hop into all my traders and I just scroll through all their screens like this, and it'll download all the images for everything. You don't have to sit there and wait for them to download once you scroll through. So I've done it on a couple of them already. Once you scroll through and get them, they'll catch up eventually. Like we'll go back to Jaeger and I'll show you. See, all of his stuff is updated. So I usually do that every time they do an update. It takes 30 seconds to go through all the traders, get all those things downloaded onto your computer, cached, I guess. I don't know what the fancy word for it is. But then it's not doing it in raid. So when you loot something, you know what it is. You're not like waiting for that spinny wheel to recognize the item. But with this, we got a couple of unlisted changes I want to talk about. The spawn rate for Santa has been lowered down to, I think it's about 40%. So it used to be 100%, so it's down to 40% now. Scavs are not going to dance around the tree all the time now. You know, they would just run in circles anytime they got close to it. They'll do it sometimes, but not all the time. I started noticing this yesterday. It's rarer and rarer seeing scavs around the tree. Santa is back on factory, but his spawn rate is down to 10%. So be very, very careful with that. Don't shoot Santa on factory or kiss some rep goodbye. They've increased the malfunction rate of ammos, basically, especially when they're overheating. I noticed this specifically with shooting a VSS. I had a VSS that was like half stacked SPP and BP, and my gun jammed before I got all the way through the mag. Might have just been bad luck, but that barrel turned red hot, shooting through a 30-round mag on a VSS really quickly. So be cautious of that. Watch out for your ammo heat stats and your parts heat stats, specifically handguards and suppressors. That's going to be where you're going to put yourself over shooting, especially some of the higher tier ammo. And then lastly, Killa and Sturman spawn rate has been increased. All of these unlisted changes, courtesy of TarkovChanges.com. Those guys do a pretty good job of keeping us up to date with some of these changes that BSG doesn't list. BSG had their stream today, and it brings up an interesting point. A lot of people were having problems with drops on their Twitch drops, so make sure you get this straightened out right away. You need to relink your account. I had to do this. I know Nice Guy had to do this. A lot of people I talked to had to do this. Some didn't. I don't know what the difference is, but make sure you relink it. And you come into your, go to escapefromtarkov.com, go to your profile, which is this little button here, and this thing here, purple or whatever it is. I'm going to unlink my Twitch account, and then I'm going to link my Twitch account. And we'll have Church block out everything that you guys don't need to see, authorize, blah, blah, blah. And now my Twitch account is linked again. And that's what I had to do before. I didn't get all the drops. I got 1 or 2 of them. Make sure you do that before drops start tomorrow, the 28th. Now the stream, it was fun. There wasn't anything crazy. There was no like breaking news with it. There was a couple of interesting things they talked about, but it was basically an inside look at the company Christmas party, if you will. It was a lot of fun. Nikita dressed up as Santa Claus. They had some jokes. They were giving out gifts to like Christmas gifts to everybody, and it was items in games. Like one guy got a vodka and a screwdriver, another guy got chocolate, some guys were getting peas and stuff. It was funny, and it was just a chance for them to kind of cut loose, hang out, and have fun, talk about the game, talk about their passion. One of the things that jumped out to me is the lead devs mentioned they had put a lot of work into the events for the next 2 weeks for the Christmas events. So I suspect we're going to see all sorts of stuff each day, event-wise, as we go through this. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel here. I'll keep you up to date with everything I can, everything I see. Plus, folks are really good down in the comments about stuff I miss or say wrong or don't have 100% right. And I try to pin or push those comments to the top so that everybody can see them. So make sure you stay plugged in that way. And then lastly, they reiterated again that they want the game done in 2022. So I think we're going to have a pretty busy year getting things wrapped up. This patch was 12.12 was a huge change to the game. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that as the months go on in 2022. We also got a tweet from BSG with an infographic, and it's basically kind of like a stat accumulation of everything they've done with the game since release. Talking about, how many maps there are, items, guns, malfunctions, things about characters, just a total running list of totals and things like that. It's pretty cool if you're into infographics. I love this stuff. It's super nerdy. There's a ton of good information in here. Make sure you go check that out. We'll throw links down below so that you can see it. It's kind of this awkward shaped thing, but you can see it on Twitter. You can come to our Discord. It's there. I don't know where else it's linked. All the links I have are Discord links or Twitter links, so you'll have to go to one of those two places to see it. And then lastly, I wasn't even sure I was going to talk about this, but it's kind of news and it's important to the community. But this is going to be 100% like, I'm going to keep my opinion out of it as much as I can. It's going to be mostly talking about news, just getting you caught up so you understand what's going on versus throwing my opinion in it and kind of muddying it up with that. Pestily and a bunch of other content creators got together and did this really cool rendition of the 12 Days of Christmas, but it's Tarkov. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's actually really good music. He had Nathan Cavallari, I might have said that wrong, Cavallari, do a bunch of work with it. So it's professionally done. It's a super cool video. Unfortunately, it's been taken down. There was a content strike, a copyright strike done on it by another Tarkov content creator that is claiming that essentially Pestily and the team stole his content to make it, and it's not original. It's not an original piece. Now, Pestily put up a statement, and he said that's all he's going to say because essentially now it turns into a legal matter. So you don't want to have a bunch of comments as somebody doing that. That's pretty normal. I'm not going to talk about the person who did it. I'm not going to put their name up for attention or for possibly sending hatred his way, having people go attack him, whatever. Because the way it is right now, we don't know if it's legit or not. We have no idea. It's for the courts to decide at this point, unless he rescinds the copyright strike. Now, if it's legit, there's no reason for anybody to go try and scare him off of it. It's his right. That's what the law is essentially there for, is to help protect his original content. That's his avenue of doing that. If it's not legit, if it's a bullshit request, which it seems like there's more of those than there aren't across the board, at least in my experience personally, I've had a bunch on my channel that just end up not being legit, then he's probably doing it for attention. Nobody should be giving it to him. You shouldn't be going to his YouTube channel and giving him views. You shouldn't be going to his stream and harassing him because you're just giving him views on his Twitch channel. And that's kind of how I see this, giving you guys the news, trying to keep people from getting in the middle of this and let it settle itself out in court between the two parties, because that's really what it needs to be at this point. Now, DMCA stands for the Digital and Millennial Copyright Act, and that's where all of this sources from, essentially. And it's a broken law. It was written in the late 90s. It went into act in 98, I believe. And in 98, I was playing the original Age of Empires and Rainbow Six on the MSN Gaming Zone, which I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I don't think it is. But that's how old this law is. I mean, we didn't even have smartphones. Facebook didn't exist. YouTube didn't exist. None of this stuff was around, and this law affects all of this stuff that wasn't ever there. So the law itself is pretty bad, but it's even worse because it's super outdated. Now, if you want to know more about this stuff, go check out somebody like Harris Heller or Devin Nash. They're much more well-versed. Anything I know, I basically learned from them. We'll throw some links down and some videos down in the below if you want to learn more about it. And YouTube isn't free and clear on this either. It's the law's fault, but YouTube kind of has a shitty way of dealing with it. They give content creators a bunch of tools to avoid it as best as they can, but there are tons of scams, con artists, and then you've got mega corporations like the record labels who basically go around and pick on content creators. And even Pestily, who's a big content creator, is nothing compared to, he has very little recourse against stuff like this, and especially when it gets mired in the US legal system. So that's pretty much it. I kind of went on a ramble about it because this DMCA thing is kind of a mess for me. I really hate it. It causes a lot of problems, a lot of stress, and it makes life in general hard for people that it shouldn't. But that wraps up the news for this tit. Hopefully it wasn't a bad tit. I don't want to give you guys bad tits. Only good tits around here. Appreciate you watching. I wish you the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.